Hey, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Friday. The weekend is upon us here. February 28th, 2025. March. Coming up right around the corner here tomorrow. Goodness. 11:17 a.m. That's California time. Latest earthquake shows a 1.0 across the California area. A lot of older movement there from yesterday in the red color rings. Well, kind of pinkish color rings here. Some newer activity up here north of Russia, 5.2, a little odd earthquake way up there. Don't see too many earthquakes out there in that location, but a little bit of activity this morning. Far as, let's see, there's a 4.7 coming in here across the boundary to the south here. We're getting a lot of movement down south recently. A lot of adjustment taking place on a broad scale across the Antarctica area and the plates to the north of that area. Let me see if I can bring up this plate boundary map. So we got the Antarctica plate down south here, as noted, and a lot of activity that we're seeing on the bottom side of the globe. Position there across this area of the Africa plate, South America plate. These are fracture boundaries out there in the oceanic crust, as that's where the majority of these earthquakes are taking place. And there's a few on here from yesterday. There's a couple more as well through the last week. We pull up the last 7 days of activity. It's been quite active down here in this region. Most of the time when things strike out there in that area, we're talking about further escalation up north here between the interaction of the two plates. We've got a little zipper pattern out here indicating some fracture boundaries and maybe some spreading seafloor centers, but mostly fracture out here. There's a nice spreading seafloor center pattern out here, creating some new oceanic crust and ridges. That's where that 4.7 struck just now. Far as let's go ahead and check out California. Not out here in the ocean. We still have terrain. That's good. Don't want this to be ocean, right? Let's see, Northern California, a little bit of movement stirring up out here from most of this from yesterday here. A handful of twos, the latest a 2.6 off the plate boundary. Notice the majority of the quakes here, aside from one inland, are above 2.0. The smaller quakes are not being listed up here on the map, even though we're getting some. I'm sure we're getting a few smaller quakes below the 2.0 threshold, but back to reporting, it looks like just 2.0 and above for this area. Nothing big happening. Bay Area pretty quiet. A couple smaller quakes there near, let's see, Mammoth Lakes, southwest of Mammoth Lakes here. 3.0 and a 1.6 so far today. As far as Southern California goes, let's see what we got. Anything above 2.5? Nothing from today. A couple from yesterday, though. As far as the all magnitudes go on the microquake scale, looks like a typical day out here. Nothing of any major interest across Southern California for today, anyway. Looks like an average day out here for earthquake activity. Idaho area, a couple smaller quakes. Nothing showing up on Yellowstone. Up here around Mount Hood area, got a couple smaller quakes outside that region. This is more than likely associated with just some strain out here against the west coast. We've been seeing a lot of strain inland. The Seattle fault, for one. We bring back the last 7 days. That shows where some of the strain quakes have been taking place. Mount Rainier, quite a bit Mount Hood, some around Mount St. Helens as well. So I don't think that's anything to do with volcanic activity. Just a little bit of smaller quake activity here near Mount Hood, and we can actually check that out real quick from the PNSN network, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network here for Mount Hood. There's some of the recent volcano or recent earthquake activity down here just outside that circle region of Mount Hood. A couple smaller quakes in there as well. We'll check out a seismograph station, see if it's working. And that one is way offline. That does not... let's see here. Maybe this one? Maybe. Yeah, that one's actually a nice one. There's a couple of those smaller quakes there in the last few hours or so. This reading that you see here, just a typical digital seismogram reading. Two little small quakes, nothing going on there across the area aside from those little bitty earthquakes striking out there this morning. And those showed up barely. 1, 2, 3 out there. So no unusual activity to note there across that area. Seattle fault, quite active out here yesterday. Today, let's see what we got. One earthquake after midnight, a little 1.0 northwest of this area. Nothing new to report around the Seattle fault overnight. Just been watching this closely here. It's been showing some elevated activity along with all the strain that's happening out here across the Cascadia, putting some of the pressure out here inland, away from this plate boundary. Nothing big happening on that for now, but it does have potential, that's for sure. The rest of the country out here pretty quiet, aside from oil fields getting hit. One earthquake outside of the Maryville, Tennessee region, a 2.3 just after midnight outside the Great Smoky Mountains. I need to get out there one of these days and experience that. We got mountains all over here in California, and it's nice. Well, it was nice until all the fires hit up here. But I definitely want to check out the Smoky Mountains area. Let's see, largest earthquake here in the last 24 hours is going to be this 5.5 from yesterday near Nepal. So far today, after midnight, a 5.2. That's that earthquake way up here along the plate boundary. Again, that's a little odd one. Don't see too much earthquake activity out there. We haven't seen any recently, but historical data shows that it happens. And it will happen out there on the plate boundary. Maybe not as much as these subduction zones down south here, but occasionally we'll get a quake or two up that way. The Aleutian Trench, a lot of this activity here from yesterday. Got that 5-pointer there from yesterday afternoon. Only one earthquake here to report so far today. A little 2.1. Back over here closer to the Alaska region, off the subduction zone. Checking out the earthquake 3D globe. There's all that activity down south. More than likely we'll shift back up north here. We could be seeing the signs of it. It almost seems to follow a pattern. It will cycle through, for whatever reason, the globe area, working its way from north to south. Once it peaks down here in the southern hemisphere, seems like the pattern kicks back up here north. So we'll keep an eye here on the northern portion of the globe today. That might be the first sign of things kicking up, because a lot of this here is from yesterday. A lot of newer activity and some older mix across the area in the south. As far as the Santorini area goes, looks like a number of earthquakes out there. So let's go check it out. Geophysics Geology Network here of Greece. This is the Santorini region. Here is one of the stations centered at the center caldera of Santorini volcano. Still seeing a number of earthquakes out there. Nothing big. In fact, it's been a number of days since we've seen anything in the upper 3 to 4 range. Most of these are below that, in the 2 and maybe some 1 range out there as well. So things are active, obviously, right? Still showing activity, but nothing big happening yet. Looking at that same region here in terms of total count in the last week, 566 earthquakes. There is an earthquake right now showing up on the Raspberry Shake data system. That is R25B3, which sits down here. So it is picking up some earthquake in the area. Looks to be a 3.0 earthquake. And that 3-pointer, let's see exactly where it's at. It should pop up here somewhere. Am I not seeing it? Crete, Greece. So that's going to be down south there, it looks like. That's why it's showing up so nice. See that earthquake down here? It's going to be this one. But aside from that, quite a few other quakes up north. As I hover over the data here, you can see them light up in that swarm up here outside of Santorini. So still got quite a bit of activity stirring up. No eruption yet. Things are calming down, but we're watching this pretty closely. It could escalate at any given time, or it could just die away and maybe pick up in a couple of years. Who knows? Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen here, but continue to keep an eye on that. Rest of the area, general small microquake activity out there across the Mediterranean. Atlantic Ocean, pretty quiet. South America area, there's some newer activity off the coast of Chile. That activity should amplify the conditions here across the South America region, where, interesting, nothing's showing up here. Even though got a number of earthquakes out there in the 3 range, got a 5.2 fairly recent. That not showing up here on the map though. What's going on? Either way, keep an eye on the South America area with that divergent boundary activity out here. Normally puts a strain up here along the Peru-Chile Trench. So we'll see what happens. It just looks an awfully little quiet here in terms of anything big. I have a feeling that we're going to see an earthquake soon as I end this video, but we'll check back on that before we do. Space weather activity, pretty quiet, as I forecasted here over the last couple days. We're left with a whole lot of nothingness out here. You know, these are sunspots that are just fading off into the sun, so to speak. Really not seeing any type of complexity in any of these. Maybe this region right here looks to be... let's see, which sunspot is that? It's going to be either 4,000. Pretty certain it's 4007 here. But notice how last night this was not really lit up in terms of different colors in close proximity. Today, though, a little bit of growth within that region. So that may be a source of some flaring. Nothing big, maybe a C flare or two. But aside from that, everything else looks quiet out here, even out there on the eastern limb. And the far side watch, well, there's not a whole lot here. This is still from, well, there's the most recent image. Eastern limb right here, so anything coming would be visible out here on the far side. There's this super massive area that's been blasting off M flares along with a whole bunch of charged protons recently. That's not even halfway across the center disk on the far side yet. So there's really not a whole lot here that we were expecting that would amplify the space weather conditions here in the coming days. Just I don't see anything popping up unless we get some new development out there. The space weather threat for flaring is going to remain minimal. These guys have a 10%. Mine's at 1% for my forecasting. I don't see anything with any type of X flare potential. M flare at 55. I got mine set at about 40 to 45%. C flare, that may be a possibility with that newer region there showing some growth. A little bit of a heartbeat type of pattern on the sun in the last couple days with C flares. All right, nothing major in the aurora forecast. A little unsettled conditions here, but that was due to a couple different coronal holes that was facing the Earth there a few days back. That should drop off dramatically here soon. I mean, they're showing a KP index up around the 4.5, but not a whole lot of the auroras coming in right now, though, and nothing major forecast there. Far as asteroid approaches go, let's go ahead and check out, see what's coming into the planet or coming close to the planet. Really nothing of any major interest right now. Today, looks like a couple of them, 15 foot, 47 foot on March 1st. All these are fairly safe, though. Even this distance right here is safe. 3 million miles away for 91 foot. All of these, looks like all of these were just discovered. So they're watching these, right? It's good to keep an eye on that. See what's floating around in space out there. But so far we've been pretty lucky without having any, impacts out here. Severe weather still looking quite likely as we head into day 5. Day 6 was yesterday. At least the forecast was. So now it's day 5 as we head into Tuesday, March 4th. Got a big-time severe weather threat brewing out here across that area. Looks like Texas is included in the 15% chance, but 30% chance here. Expecting some strong tornado potential as we head towards this date. So just be on guard. Mark that on your calendars there to be weather aware as we head towards that time frame. That's a decent, that's a 30% chance here, a number of days out. We don't see that too often. That's going to be associated with the low pressure system here as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. Right there's your severe weather. All that moisture being pulled up by this low pressure system. Typical severe weather setup that, it looks like a dandy of a storm. So just be on guard as we head into midweek this coming week here. California got a number of colder systems coming in. Mostly snow events for the mountains, a little bit of rain in the valley as well. The total accumulated precipitation runs, that's a 24-hour total. They're dropping down a little bit, except for Washington and Oregon, still quite a bit of rainfall expected. Southern California getting in on the mix as well, but really not expecting any major super soaker, just maybe under an inch or so for the valley, and that's for the total run through the 16th. So that's hopefully they come up a little bit. I'd like to see a little bit more rain out here for California, but that's better than seeing nothing. We'll take it. All right, quick glance here at the weather maps, earthquake maps once again. Let's see if we got anything new brewing out here. Crazy how these earthquakes just pop up all of a sudden within minutes. A little bit of earthquake movement outside the Ocotillo Wells region. 2.3, 1.2 since I've been yakking here on the update. Wonder if that's showing up. Well, the 2.3 showed up there on Barrett. Looks like there was a smaller quake afterwards, maybe. Barrett sits down here within this region outside of San Diego, in between this area here. So nothing big happening for now, folks, but as always, we'll watch it. Live stream is up running 24/7. That has not changed, except for when someone decides to pull the plug on me. But of course, we always get it back up and going. Been doing this for a number of years, so make sure you guys subscribe. Member drawing coming up here in a couple weeks. It's something we do every month. We've been doing it for 4 years now, I think, where we give away prizes to our members. If you're not a member of the channel, jump on board today. You don't have to be the top tier. You can be the lower tier, middle tier, whatever of your liking, and you'll be entered into the member fishbowl to win some prizes. That includes cash prizes as well. I think it's a good deal. Anyway, it's our way of showing support back to the community, and just kind of like a thank you gift. Aside from that, folks, it's supposed to be almost 80 degrees today here in Northern California. It's nice. I'm not complaining. Trust me, I'm not complaining. Someone told me to quit complaining about 70-degree weather because it's colder out there, out in their neck of the woods. But it's wintertime. It's February. It's supposed to be cold. That's why I don't live in Southern California. It's the weather is too neutral down there for me. I don't like neutral weather. I have to have a variety. Without variety in your life, man, that's just me anyway. A lot of people would call me crazy for liking storms and lightning and all that stuff. But hey, we're all different. That's what makes us all different here. I wanted to check out the windy map here real quick. I can feel the warm air coming in here to the Earthmaster office. It's just it is cooking out there. Shows 66 there in Chico, but I got 72 in my backyard. I can feel the warmth coming in. Again, it's supposed to be up around 79, 80 today. These guys not really showing too much of a warm-up, but the forecast is calling for 79, 80 degrees around my area, depending on which model you look at. That's the ECMWF and so on. There's the Icon model. 80 up in Red Bluff. Redding, 82. So that's kind of nice. I like it. Good day to go outside, do some yard work. get some exercise in, do a couple of laps around the field, let the kids play outside, let the dog chase the ball, good times. All right, I'm out of here, folks. Have yourself a good day. Enjoy your Friday. See you guys back out here tonight for the Friday evening update. Take care.